welcome to Happening Horror. This is Heather, your host. And on this episode, we're going to cover the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that was just released on Netflix. And we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the very bad that this movie had. And don't forget, if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. And then leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. When doing sequels to classic horror films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you gotta be really careful because there's huge followings for films like this. Even though it's not as big as Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street or even the Insidious series, it's still a big deal to horror fans that a movie is portrayed correctly and it's well done. And we didn't get any of that from the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I was a little surprised when I saw that Legendary Pictures was actually involved in producing the film, with producing great films like Crimson Peak and As Above, So Below, even Trick or Treat, which has become a serious classic in the industry now. It's hard to believe that they would be associated with a film like this. And I love Legendary Pictures, let me just say that. However, this film had a $20 million budget, which I think is pretty good for a horror film. But then we also find out that the director switched hands mid-production in Bulgaria. Was it filmed here in the US? So the final director that came in and started doing it was David Garcia. And he's not a huge name in directing, but that's not a problem. However, it was obvious that this film wasn't well done and it wasn't thought through. And there's so much more development that could have been done. And I really would love to have seen that. As many of us know in the horror industry, it's okay to pay homage to other films, but what seems like this film did is that they were taking copycat scenes from other movies, specifically Halloween. And it was very obvious in multiple scenes that it seems like they just copied them. When Melody's older sister is down on the floor in the closet and Leatherface is bashing through it and she is screaming, immediately I said, well, damn, it's Laurie Strode. There it is. It's Halloween. And then again, with bringing in someone who is supposed to be the returning character, very much like a Neve Campbell to Sidney Prescott in Scream, and Laurie Strode to Halloween. It was pretty upsetting that Olwen Fiore, I hope I pronounced her name correctly, came in as Sally from the original film, and she got little to no screen time. Her character was there for what seemed like 5 seconds, and then boom, gone. There was no character development for her, and I would love to have seen a lot more of her, because for the split second you did see her, she did offer quite a bit, but they didn't give that to her. And I will say that it's partially the writers and director's fault for not doing that for her. As we noticed in this film, there was zero plot development. It just felt like they were rushing through it. Let's get these kills in. Let's do it. And that's honestly, to me, what it felt like. And the same can be said for the characters. Immediately, you knew who was going to be the first victim and who was going to be the survivor. That's not what I want from a film. I want you to give me a little bit of an emotional connection to a character. Each one of them if possible, even some relatability, which I got none of. And as a horror fan, and even just a general movie viewer, that could be really important to the success of your film. So a rushed plotline and no character development is really going to hurt you in the long run. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the sequel that just came out on Netflix this year, it didn't offer anything. I'm just going to touch base on 2 things I enjoyed in the film, which is surprising considering that this film was not good at all. Leatherface. I feel like a lot of his kills were thought through and developed well. Some of them were your quintessential slashers, which is fine. We love our quintessential slasher scenes. It really adds to the dynamic of horror films for a lot of us. Except for that copycat scene in the closet that was very reminiscent of Halloween. That's the one kill I did not enjoy. But his development, I think, was nice. Getting to see him without his mask was cool. I thought we could have seen a little bit more of him. And then Melody, she seemed like a good character, and that's another character I wanted to see more of, considering she was a young teenager who had survived a school shooting. It really showed that there could have been more done with her, especially in there's a scene where she is carrying a gun, and she is using it against Leatherface, and it really shows her ability to work through her fears and the trauma that happened to her to be able to handle a gun. So that was a big thing for me that said, wow, I wanted to see this more early on. Well, that was my review of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I want to know what you guys think. Put it down in the comments. I want to know what you think about this film. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it okay? Well, let me know. Next week, I'm going to be going over Scream, starting with the first film in the franchise. And if there's a movie you guys want to see me review, let me know in the comments down below, because I will do them. You guys stay safe and stay spooky.